So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my eating disorder story. Everyone's is a little different, and I seem to have a very interesting eating disorder story. It's very much so not your typical eating disorder story. It was about middle school when I started first realizing or becoming aware of my weight and just kind of I don't know how it compares to everything else and everyone else around me. Not that I was big by any means. I was a competitive gymnast, and so I was very muscular, and I'm kind of one of those short and more powerful type builds. I don't know. So I just kind of started being more aware of what I ate and how much I ate, and just kind of how I was working out. In 10th grade, I actually tore my ACL the week before nationals. I was kind of told that, or at least got the impression that the biggest thing I could do, because I was going to miss my junior year, which was the most important year for recruiting for college gymnastics, is to basically get in the best shape that I could and to absolutely not gain any weight, which led me to start obsessively counting calories, and I would weigh myself all the time. I just kept dropping the amount of calories that I'd let myself eat, and kept increasing my exercise as much as I could. Then I tore my ACL again 8 months later, probably because I was somewhat malnourished and didn't have the energy for my poor muscles to hold my knee together. And at that point, I basically decided that, the reason I tore my ACL again is because I obviously was too fat and my body couldn't handle it, which is not true at all. Like I said, it was probably because I was malnourished, not because I was too fat. So I started, dropping my calorie intake even more and went into crazy small amounts of eating and avoiding meals and working out as much as I could, and just pure craziness, to be honest. When I started coming back from that second ACL tear, I found it really hard to get my skills back in gymnastics, and it was really frustrating, and it's probably because my poor body didn't have enough nutrition at all. So, what I was doing was trying to not gain any weight and be as, healthy as I could, but I was really actually hurting my body and my gymnastics. So then I went off to college, and I actually went to college to do college gymnastics as a walk-on, and found out about a month before college started that I wasn't actually going to be able to be on the team. And so I basically decided that I was done with gymnastics. I quit gymnastics. I decided that I didn't want to look like a gymnast anymore. I wanted no reminders of gymnastics, nothing to do with it. Basically just was starving myself. I didn't want to look like a gymnast anymore. I wanted to just be done. I was depressed and didn't want to do anything. So I went to college, and I actually did crazy things. I was doing 20 hours a week of gymnastics before, so I decided, oh, well, I'll do 20 hours a week of workout on the elliptical, and crazy things like that. The cleaning lady would come in and see me on the elliptical all the time, because I'd be in there for obviously hours a day, and she would just compliment me on how hard I was going and how fast I was going and how much dedication I had, and little did she know that I was actually really hurting my body. I didn't have any friends because I spent literally all of my time working out, freaking out about what I was eating, counting calories, creating plans of how I was going to lose weight. College wasn't a lot of fun for that first year at all. Throughout the year, I actually gained quite a bit of weight because I would basically work out a whole bunch. I'd be starving, so then I would eat a bunch of food because I hadn't been eating food, so my body would just be starving. I don't know, I just kept making bad decisions as far as behaviors went. When we got to sophomore year, I finally found some friends and actually got diagnosed with an eating disorder towards the end of my sophomore year, which is quite a while after I'd been struggling with it. So I was diagnosed at the end of my sophomore year of college with eating disorder not otherwise specified. I actually, funny story, I was sitting in the recreation center waiting for the gymnastics club carpool to leave. I started a gymnastics club. Another video on that later. But I was sitting there waiting for people to come so that we could leave, and there was a table set up, and some people were over there, and they're like, oh, come fill out this survey, get a free t-shirt. And I was like, oh, no, I'm good, whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, come on. And I was like, all right, fine. So I went over there, and I look at the survey, and I saw that it was an eating disorder survey, and I knew right away that this is not going to be good. I actually lied on every single answer. It was a scale of 1 to 5 or whatever, and I would take what my real answer was and move it 2 points in the right direction to make it look like I didn't have a problem. And I still got a very stern talking to at the end of the survey and got referred to like the counseling center. And I was like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, I'm not going. Actually took myself like a month to convince myself that I was going to go to the counseling center and just like convince them that I didn't have a problem, because I didn't have a problem. I went to the counseling center and like spent an hour explaining how I didn't think I had a problem, and they basically told me like, yes, you do have a problem and you really need to like, start coming to the counseling center. And it was really towards the end of the school year, and so there weren't any appointments left for the year. And so I just kind of like went home and was like, oh, da da da, whatever, like good enough. My behaviors that summer got worse. I actually started purging a little bit, which is really bad, something I'm really not proud of. I don't know, I was just in a constant state of like panic about my weight and about what I was eating, and it was consuming my life. It was all I thought about. And like my whole goal in life was to lose weight, and it wasn't working because I was in this, like binge cycle, and I'd restrict and then I'd be starving, and so I'd eat a bunch of food and then I'd try to work it all off and not eat, and then I would be starving, so I'd eat more food, and it was just like this terrible cycle. Like you just can't win in that situation. It was really really depressing, and it was not a good time in my life at all. I went back my junior year to college and went to the counseling center, just kind of learn more about eating disorders and such. Summer after junior year, I was actually in Minneapolis for an internship, and I was like, oh, like maybe I'll go and actually, like, since there is eating disorder treatment available in the cities, I was like, oh, I'll see a therapist while I'm up there and maybe add a dietitian, right? Like, ooh, big steps here. And so I actually went to the Emily program and had my intake, and basically they told me that they wanted me to do what they call IDP, or intensive day program, which basically means that or treatment programming all day, every day. Usually you can like sleep at home, but basically you're there 8-ish hours a day, every day. And I was like, oh no, like, I don't need that. Like, I was just looking to add a dietitian, like, whatever. And also, the only reason I'm in the cities is for this internship, so I can't just like spend all day at treatment and not do this internship. And so I decided that I would do what they call IOP, or intensive outpatient program. And they had an evening session. So basically, I would go to my internship from, whatever in the morning until 4 or 5 at night. And then I would go to treatment for about 3 hours after my internship. And that was my life for the summer. I guess I learned a lot that summer. I was definitely still in denial that I had like an eating disorder, that anything was wrong with me. I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm just working out and eating healthy, and like that's what you're supposed to do in the world, right? I ended up just like restricting a lot and losing a bunch of weight. So then I went back to school, and it was my senior year, and I ended up losing even more weight throughout like the first semester. My parents actually surprised me for Thanksgiving and met me in Chicago. I went home with my roommate's family, and I really thought that they were coming to kidnap me and take me to treatment. Luckily, they let me go back to school and finish the semester. But then over Christmas break, I actually spent Christmas break my senior year in IDP treatment, so full day treatment for the whole Christmas break. They actually didn't want to let me go back to school, and I was like, heck no, I'm going back. I had been accepted to med school at this point, and I was like, oh no, I am finishing school. This is not how this is going to go. So I went back to school with compromise that I would go to an intensive outpatient program, or IOP, 3 days a week in Indianapolis. And so I spent a good 6 weeks driving back and forth between school and Indianapolis, about an hour drive, doing more treatment. That was really hard to like balance my classes. I was taking crazy, pre-med prerequisites. Yeah, my grades definitely suffered a little bit. It was just a really stressful time. I guess I've always been pretty medically stable. My body does a really good job of putting up with what I put it through, which is amazing because a lot of people are not that lucky. I'm definitely really thankful for that. If my body hadn't been and doesn't continue to be so just kind of adaptive and just dealing with my poor choices and bad behaviors, there's no way I'd be able to be where I am today. I still see a therapist and dietitian once a week. Still have a lot of things I'm working on. There's still a lot of just the thoughts and just freaking out about what I eat and how much I eat, and was that the best choice, and could I have eaten something better, and did I work out enough, and also trying to not let my eating disorder take over my life. Like, I'm in med school, and I don't want to put that in jeopardy by any means, and so it's really hard to balance. It's just a lot of mental mental craziness that goes on in my life. I did over this past Christmas break spend the break in inpatient treatment in the cities at Melrose, actually. Not necessarily because I was like medically unstable, but just, it was getting to a point where, the mental part was kind of like taking over my life and really causing quite a few problems. And I just was not doing well. And so that was an interesting experience. I'll do another video later about what treatment for eating disorders is really like. I guess now I'm just living life one day at a time, trying to work on, finding other ways to, find my self esteem besides just like what my body looks like or how much I weigh. And yeah, I guess that's kind of my eating disorder story so far. I don't know. It sucks to have an eating disorder, and I wish it would go away, but I'm also a very very stubborn person, unfortunately. And I wouldn't be doing something if I hadn't convinced myself that it was the right thing to do. So that's really hard. Where I know a lot of the medical knowledge, and I know that it's not good for my body to basically starve myself and work out crazy amounts and whatever. But um, there's also this part of my brain that's like, well, that's what healthy people do. Like healthy people make good decisions and, maintain a healthy weight and, work out. And, so I don't know, it's just this constant struggle in my head. It's definitely something that I still struggle with to this day. Hopefully someday I won't struggle with it. But until then, I guess I'll just keep living one day at a time.